Hey everybody, welcome to the Aquarium Co-op live stream where I talk about stuff that the internet is in love with and I hate. Today's topic will be why canister filters are bad and you should feel bad. Maybe not feel bad, but this stems from, I guess, emails this week that I was reading and comments and that type of thing, talking mostly about turnover and flow and that kind of stuff, and I didn't think that'd be the correct topic, so I'm going to talk about that a bit. But mostly canister filters are the culprit, or as I'm going to dub it in this new world, canister filter culture. Right? So, a lot of times, and you guys have been around for a long time, I've heard this before, you can't go wrong with a canister filter. Go get a canister filter. I run 6 canister filter. I'm better than you. You know, like that whole vibe, it just never sits well with me because when I look at myself, other breeders, stores, people that touch a lot of fish, in proportion to the amount of fish they have to canister filter usage is very, very small. You know, when we look at, let's say, Dean's fish room, he runs a small fish room, probably 40 tanks or so. I think he runs 2, maybe 3 canister filters out of all of it. And mostly it's out of a boredom slash I kind of just wanted to do it type of thing. It was more and less of like, oh, I need this filtration capacity. And I think that's the biggest issue I have is that I think if I was to ask most of you in the audience right now, how much bacteria do you need? What kind of surface area do you need for the fish you have? And the response I typically get is like, well, I have 2 canister filters, so I'm not having a problem. Like, yes, but shouldn't we quantify what is wasteful? I think that is an issue. Like, canister filters in general use more power. In general, they have more flow. And a lot of people go, more flow is better. Like, is it? A lot of fish species we keep, it's not good. In general, they are more expensive, right? And so especially when I run into an instance where you've got a canister filter but a crappy light, or a canister filter but don't own a python yet, or a canister filter but don't have the next biggest tank size up, you know, there's a lot of things where like, I don't know, that money is important. And then when I start asking you like, well, is your canister filter top to bottom or bottom to top flow? Oh, I don't know. Like, oh, you don't know? Well, that's really important the way you're going to set up your trays in your canister filter, because if you set it up backwards, you're losing so much of that efficiency that, you know, you're kind of crippling the whole reason you would buy one, you know. It'd be like buying a truck to haul stuff, and then when I go, hey, how much weight can that hold? Oh, I don't know. It moves things. Like, well, yes, that's true, but if you said you needed a truck, wouldn't you know towing capacity or even what you can put in the bed so you can move it, right? And I feel the same way about canister filters of like, why do we need it? Why do you need a can? I got big fish. Okay, maybe you do, but let's take a look at the screenshot that was up on this video. That's an FX4 or an FX6, one of the two, and inherently you see that it's got bio rings in there, you see it's got sponges, you see it's got sand sucked up into the bottom of that thing, right? It's got gunk in the trays, and so these become these big magnets for inefficiency, in my opinion. So you start gunking it up with stuff, and then you get sand in there that's wearing on impellers, slowing flow down. You've got these bio rings that come with it that are just garbage. And what I mean by garbage is like there's pre-filter rings, and then there's normal bio rings, and then there's these other things. And when you start reading the manuals on these things, they're like, yeah, replace the bio rings every 6 months. You know, and someone else in the chat was asking, why are they so expensive? Because they replaced the system before it, which was a hang-on back. And the hang-on back sells cartridges, and that's a money-making system monthly, right? Well, on a canister filter, one of the big takeaways is like, well, you know, it's better, and you don't have to use cartridges. But we still want you to throw away those sponges and those bio rings every 6 months and replace them because they get dirty, right? So it's not in their best interest to make a product that doesn't require this continual money investment. And so I struggle to find, I'm not going to say that there is never a place for a canister filter, but I struggle to find the people that actually need a canister filter. You know, someone's saying, well, that's why you maintenance it. Yes, you maintenance everything in an aquarium, you know, and so I could make the same argument, though, of like, you don't need a filter if you maintenance your aquarium enough, right? I mean, that's a true statement. If you were to change water enough to counteract any ammonia or nitrate buildup, you would never even need a filter. That's just a true statement. And so much so, you have people like LR Breads Aquatics who don't run any filtration, right? I've got tanks that don't run filtration. I have tanks that run a lot of filtration. I have tanks that are wasting tons of money. I have some that aren't wasting any money. And so there's definitely, you know, the fun factor of it. I get it. Maybe you feel safer about it. But realistically, how much filtration do you need, right? Like, that's a question that I think most of us can't answer. If you're running a planted aquarium, the answer is probably 0. You probably need no filtration at all to keep your animals healthy because the plants are already doing that. So then it becomes like, well, why do I have all these gadgets? Because it's fun to buy gadgets. 2, the internet told me I need gadgets. 3, I feel safer. 4, it was on sale. 5, because I put things in it. 6, I feel better than the next guy. Right? But do we actually need it? That's the thing, is do we need it? And I'm not sure most of us need it. Even if you're like, well, I have 2 Oscars in a 55-gallon aquarium. Or someone was saying, I have turtles and they are very messy. And once I got a canister filter, then it was much clearer water. I don't dispute that fact, but I feel like, let's say you added an FX6 or an FX4. You spent $250, right? Is the $250 maybe better spent on a Python system to change more water easily? Like, that's a $50 investment that really pays good dividends? Or is it maybe better to spend $250 on a larger aquarium, right? Like, maybe you invest a 300 or not 300, 250 bucks and you buy a used 180-gallon tank as opposed to the 75-gallon tank you got for the turtles, right? Still use the internal filtration you already had, up the water changes, that type of thing. I just feel like disproportionately we invest in canister filters. So I feel like canister filter culture, as I'm calling it, is more like we need a vehicle to get to work, and inherently we're recommending buying sports cars because they're cooler and they're better and they're more expensive and I'm cooler for owning one. When the reality is, getting from point A to B for most people is relatively the same. I need a car that I can put gas in, I need to drive it for 20 minutes, and I need to arrive at my destination. How I get there, whether it's a Ferrari, whether it's a minivan, whether it's a scooter, you pretty much get there. And so I feel the same way about filtration, except when you are 16, so imagine you're new to the hobby, you're 16, right? And you're like, I want to get my first car. And everyone says, you got to get a Ferrari. Just jump straight to the top, man. Get a Ferrari. You'll have no problems. You get to work so fast, right? And it's like, well, why invest all of that money right at the get-go when you might not need a Ferrari? Turns out you needed a truck because you got a job doing construction, right? Turns out you need another thing. And I feel like we do that in the hobby all the time. There was in the chat early, which if you didn't show up to the chat early, we've been chatting for about 2 hours today. And it was kind of me posted up going, with a mug going, I hate canister filters. Change my mind. Sip. That's the international symbol for drinking coffee. I don't drink coffee, and I think I was doing it with the wrong hand. But and someone said, like, well, someone with a 30-gallon tank getting into the hobby, adding a canister filter would make it easier. And I don't believe that to be true, because out of all the filtration we've ever sold in the store, by far the most returned filtration is canister filters. They get returned from people not knowing how they work. And they get water on the floor, floods happen a lot, and people get very angry when you flood their house. Like, you sell them like, I spent all this money, it flooded my house, nightmare, why would you even sell this? Why would you allow this? And they get overwhelmed. So, that I don't think it's ever happened with a hang-on back. I don't think it's ever happened with a sponge filter. I don't think it's ever happened with an undergravel filter. I would say it has happened with sumps. Sumps are definitely difficult, not the average beginner filtration. But my logic so let's say you've got a 30-gallon tank, you've got the light, and you've got everything you need, and you're on the filter, right? So you could buy, let's say, a $40 filter as a canister filter, or a $120 filter let me back that up, I messed that up. $40 filter is, let's say, a hang-on back, or an undergravel, or a sponge, or any other type of filtration. Let's just say, spend 40 bucks, get different filter. Spend 120 bucks, get canister filter. I believe that the difference there being 80 bucks is way better spent on anything else. Whether it's a better light, whether it's, let's go from a 30-gallon tank to a 55-gallon tank, whether it's their first Python they're going to have for the rest of their life in their hobby. There's so many better ways to spend that money if you're a beginner than saying, get a canister filter. I think that is leading people in the wrong direction. And that's because without knowing the full situation, if they don't have unlimited funds, telling someone to buy that Ferrari from the get-go is a bad idea. Like, no, go ahead, just get yourself in wicked debt, get that Ferrari, and you'll be great. The reality is, you need to know, do they only have 300 bucks to spend? If they've only got 300 bucks, then spending 120 of it on a canister filter is a terrible thing to recommend to someone, I think. I would much rather recommend a hang-on back, a sponge, an undergravel filter, because then not only do you buy this canister filter, but then you have to maximize it, right? And you have to learn about it. And we'll go over the whole like out of sight, out of mind aspect of it. I don't understand. It's kind of wizardry going on down there. And I think it's hurting our hobby, honestly. Like, that's a legit thing. That's why I'm talking about it. Because I don't believe the hype. And the hype is, get yourself a canister filter, don't worry about it anymore. Like, it's being conveyed that way to people, and I don't think that is a genuine statement we should make. I think we should highlight what's good about one, maybe, right? Like, so first, if we're trying to really do this hobby right, I think we need to identify what our needs are. And do we need more biological capacity? First, we'd have to identify how much do we have, and then we might need to identify how much are we short, right? Well, the one thing we can kind of do a little bit easier is mechanical filtration. I can see the aquarium being dirty, right? I can see it. Again, we should analyze, do I need more mechanical filtration, or could I change and feed a different food, from a pelleted food to a frozen food? Could I change from doing a 10% water change every week, I do a 20%, right? Could I change the porosity of my filter cartridge? These are all things you could evaluate. That being said, when you post online, if I go into a group and I say, my water's looking cloudy and I think I'm having some ammonia problems, people will just say, get a canister filter. Once I got one of those, everything was great. You know, and it's kind of like saying, like, oh man, I keep arriving late to work. Well, if you buy a Ferrari, you get there much faster. Like, that probably is a true statement, except that's not the right answer, right? Just because something's true doesn't make it the right answer. And, you know, you could be like, well, have you tried getting up 5 minutes earlier? No, I haven't. Oh, it turns out didn't need to buy a Ferrari, just needed to get up 5 minutes earlier. You know, did you try doing this thing? Did you try setting your coffee maker to make coffee instead of you going to set it up each morning to save you 5 minutes? And that's how I feel about canister filters, is that there are some perks. They're a little bit more out of sight, a little bit. And I say a little bit because if you're really trying to go for a filtration system that you can't see, you're much better off going with some of the high-end aquascaping tanks where they plumb everything through the bottom and they'll custom mold acrylic so that it sticks up maybe a half an inch above substrate, and then it goes down into an inline pump and then comes back as a return. So you're mostly just moving water around because it's using the plants as a filtration, right? And so I hesitate to go, well, it's the best looking, because it's not. Is it the most silent? Possibly. Like, I think the problem is one person's silent is not another person's silent. I definitely have filters I think are very quiet. And so much so, you know, when I did maintenance accounts, there'd be filters that were expensive and louder, and then I replace it with a quieter one. And then, unfortunately, the house owner would be like, it's so loud. Can't you hear that? And I'd be like, I legit can't hear it. But his ear could hear it. And so we ended up swapping to a different one. And like when you pull like a meter to do decibels, it was louder. But to his audible, it wasn't loud. Right? So, ooh, someone's disagreeing. Ooh, Sorry, Corey, but I disagree on this. I love my Eheim canister filter. Don't believe in pimping it with foam on the intake. It does a great job. I'm very happy with it. See, to me, that statement almost has nothing to do with what we're saying. Like, that's like saying, I own a Ferrari and I love to drive it. That's great. I'm saying, don't have someone who's 16 years old go buy a Ferrari as their first car, right? Like, I have no doubt that people that own a canister filter like to own one. You probably wouldn't have bought one if you didn't want to own one. What I am portraying here is that maybe we shouldn't always recommend a canister filter for everyone because of some of the downfalls. And that is like an FX6, 40 watts of energy. Now that might not seem like a lot, like you're going, that doesn't cost that much to run it. You're right, it doesn't cost that much money to run it. What is that, maybe $4 a month? Something like that, maybe? So like, $4 for my fish tank, totally worth it. What about you're running a canister filter and you're running white clouds and killifish and all these cooler water fish, and that 40 watts of energy is adding heat to the aquarium? And you live in a house that doesn't have AC. All of a sudden, that 40 watts, we don't care about the money, but that heat is actually causing your fish stress, right? Whereas your average hang-on back might be more like 7 watts. So you're saving 75% or more of that heat dissipation into the water. That's a good saving, especially on saltwater tanks, right? We're purely kind of a freshwater channel here, but nevertheless all the same. Now that really adds up when you're running 20 canister filters in a room, right? Just like if you've ever run a fish room and you've got a bunch of lights in there, on a hot summer's day, those lights are on, it's even hotter. Same thing with all those canister filters. There's also something to be said for, like me, if I have a tank here and a canister filter down below, I'd kind of rather have a tank here and a tank here, right? The canister filter can take the place of having another aquarium. Not everyone needs another aquarium, but I do. I like having more aquariums. And where am I trying to go with this? I feel like, okay, so if we're going to use the car analogy, I feel like so far we've talked about like a basic car and we've talked about a Ferrari. And that's kind of how I feel like people address a canister. It's the best you can buy, right? But I think what we need to do is we need it to be much more versatile. All right? I'm going to grab a prop, I think. Let me see if I can grab it real quick because I want to show you things that I think need to be built into canister filters. We're paying hundreds of dollars, right, at this point. Why can't we build in some of these simple features? Let me grab it. By the way, how many people are here? Are we doing better with or without Facebook being dead? 1660? We're 3 short. Purely, some of you have more devices and grandmas that can log in. Be right back. BRB. Whoa, here we are. So this right here, this is a Marine DC pump DCT 6000. Ha! Way faster than your canister filter, I promise you that. My chair almost broke. What's going on? Oh, I hit the little thingy with my foot. Hold on. Ugh. But can your chair do this? That's right, I went there. All right, so with this pump, what is the feature I want? So part of it is 42 watts, right? So this pump is 42 watts, and it can move 6,000 liters, which is about 1,500 gallons per hour. Now, roughly, this pump is equivalent in wattage to something like an FX6, which moves about 900 gallons per hour, right? So this is slightly more efficient, and it's more than slightly, but whatever. The feature I want, right here, the feed button. So you could hit a button on your canister filter, bloop, and then it shuts down for 10 minutes. You feed, so it's not sucking up your food. We don't have to buy, I don't have any here, I only have my competitors. Well, you don't have to get an intake sponge because it's not sucking up your food. And then 2, I want to be able to adjust it right here. I can adjust the flow. So maybe right now, I've got a ton of pink-tailed Celsius, silver dollars, all these quick fish that love a big current, right? But maybe 2 years down the road, I want to keep big, fat, wiggly butt goldfish, and I want to dial that flow down, down, down. So that way it's a much more gentle flow. Or imagine this. Maybe you're like, I don't like those big fish. You is dumb, right? Imagine you want to plant an aquarium and you're like, ooh, I'm going to go high tech. I'm going to get the best light money can buy. I'm going to inject CO2 and I'm going to plant me some dwarf baby tears, right? Except your pump is a tornado in there, and every time you go to plant it, there it goes. Imagine you just dial this thing down as low as it goes so that all your plant roots can grow in, and then you can dial it up so that everything stays intact. Like, why can't we build that into our canister filters? And the answer is, well, we can. We're just choosing not to because we all are adhering to the status quo of these things, right? So much so that I myself was very disappointed when the FX6 stopped including the third quick disconnect because, well, not everyone, but it was very popular to hook up a hose to that so that you just unplugged you unplugged the canister, closed it, right? Then you took off the one that went to your tank to return the water, plugged this one on, and went and watered your garden. Now they want you to buy it. Like, so you raised the price and I got less parts? Awesome. Thank you for that, right? And so I do think we could bring some more utility. Like right now, everyone focuses on GPH, gallons per hour. How many liters capacity is this thing, right? And the reality is we know Wi-Fi exists. We know pre-filters exist. We know variable speed DC pumps exist. When you turn it down, by the way, and you go, I'm planting my tank, I need to be real low. It's going to use a lot less than 42 watts, right? And guess what? Maybe you're really struggling to beat the heat during the summer. Let me turn that flow down. Let me turn it down. So that way I'm introducing less heat, right? So the other thing, what I don't like about canister filters is because they're the Ferrari, fix everything, they're the perfect thing, we disregard all of the other things. And so what I mean by that is, I literally have had this before, like, I don't get it. My fish aren't doing well. I have a canister filter. You know, it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't quantify anything, right? And so I watch a lot of people have a canister filter and therefore, I don't need an air stone. No, I have a filter. I have a filter rated for 80 gallons and it's on my 40-gallon tank. So I know I'm good. And it's like, wow, we've really jumped ahead in logic here. And because in America, we have this culture of we want to buy the best. If I just buy the best, I won't have any problems. And with livestock, that's just not true. Just because I buy a dog that's $40,000 purebred doesn't mean it's not going to get hit by a car tomorrow, right? Like you still have the same risk. It's livestock. And so there is obviously, if you buy the worst thing ever, you might struggle a little bit more. But if you were to take that same money and invest in learning, right? Learn why you don't like a sponge filter. Learn why you don't like a hang-on back. And then maybe you do love a canister filter. There are so many ways to optimize a canister filter that is not being done in the American hobby. So like even Eheim, like let's say you're a diehard Eheim fan like someone else. They have built-in pre-filters that sit in the gravel right there, flush, so it looks really good. It's all green tubing, blends into the background and all that. That exists outside the US. Well, what about the cool directional flow outlets for the Eheim that only exists outside the US? Yep, that's a thing too. What about the Venturi system? What's a Venturi system, you ask? Where you hook up a little tube and it sucks in air so that it oxygenates your water. But why would you need that? Because canister filters are the best. Because we know that canister filters aren't actually the best at adding oxygen to your water. Like that's just a thing, right? So I want to know, why can't we make these better than they are? Because I just feel like right now, for the money invested and the stigma, or not, I don't want to say stigma, the prestige that comes with them, it's almost like you can't fail. And the reality is, I watch so many people fail with a canister filter because they've got that false start. Like, because you bought the Ferrari, you assume it can't break down. You know, like, it's kind of one of those funny things. Like, have you ever seen a Ferrari or a Maserati or something like that broken down on the side of the road, and it's because it's got a flat tire and there's no spare flat tire? It's one of those things. Like, we've gone so far, we don't have necessities anymore. Like, oh, well, and it's just assumed. Like, if you can afford the car, you can afford to have it towed home or to the garage to have it done. You know, or you can afford the crazy expensive run flat tires. You know, so I myself am not a huge fan all the time. So I run one of them at the store. I think we run 2 canister filters. One purely so we can help educate other people that own canister filters. We're like, here's the inlet, here's the outlet, here's the control, right? And then here's how you would lift the top off, and here's an intake, and here's an output, that kind of stuff. And then I have one on Murphy's tank, which is an FX6 that I got for free from Fluval to run the big sump, right? And so it was one of those things like, well, at free, the value to dollar invested is pretty darn good, right? And I didn't have to plumb an inline pump or anything like that. And so yeah, I just don't change it. That being said, out of sight, out of mind, canister filters, there's 2 ways to do a canister filter, and I feel like either one of them's not right. So there's the whole like, you know, I clean it like every once in a while, right? Like I forget. And that's not really right either, because we're collecting a bunch of garbage. And then there's like the, I clean my canister filter every day before I drink coffee. I have the cleanest one. And to me, that's like, if you're doing that, you may as well just have a hang-on back then. Like, make it just easier on yourself. You don't need all that capacity. And so, but somewhere in the middle might be right, but who's in that middle of like, I'm cleaning it every 5 weeks, I think. I'm actually, like, why don't we have automatic back flushing? That's what I want to know, is why can't we have it where the FX6, it's got the little drain plug on it. You can plug a hose to it and then open it up and water will kind of go somewhere. Why can't we pump that? I don't think it's too far gone to believe, like, wait, if we could pump that to the sink, I could pump this sludge out straight to my garden or whatever. Like, that's just a logical thing. And so it happens in pressurized, pretty much all pressurized canister filters for ponds have a backflow or a back flush ability. So you can flush the water in reverse to clean this thing. At least that, you're going, oh, I made maintenance easier. Where on a canister filter in our home aquarium, we're typically making maintenance harder at the expense of we can handle more if we need to. And I'm not sure that most of us need to, let alone, I'm not sure most of us even know what we need. Other than, well, I bought it and now I own it, and I own the best, so therefore can't be wrong. All right, let me address some more canister filter lovers. A lot of people overseas seem to be using the Oase canister filter to build with the built-in heater compartment. Yes, so I have my own thoughts about that. In my personal opinion, it would be much better off to design an inline heater for a canister filter to work with any canister filter, basically a better version of the Hydor one that is known to fail. And that being said, I did do a whole video last week on how most of us don't need to be using heaters in our home aquariums. So look for that one. That one's going to be just as controversial, and everyone will think I'm 10 times crazier than I am right now. I've got a little bit of pseudoscience to back that up, which, you know, that's all our hobby is anyway. Like, oh, look at a thing, it did a thing, and then maybe a thing. But, you know, there's that whole thing too. I think there's a lot of people way overheating an aquarium, and that's its own topic. But, yeah, I don't think that necessarily canister filters, they're not doing any harm to your actual aquarium. They might be doing harm to your budget. I think they are doing some harm to newbie hobbyists, just because if you've never experienced the other things, it's hard to see why this is better. It definitely has much more potential to leak and flood your house and that type of thing, and that could get people out of the hobby. And so I feel like a new hobbyist doesn't know how often to clean it or what to do and how to clean it well and how to keep bacteria alive and all these things. And so I'm just not convinced that it is the well, okay, I want to be absolutely clear here. I'm not convinced any one type of filter is the perfect one. Just like I'm not convinced any type of car is the perfect one for everyone. Like there's a reason we have SUVs, minivans, trucks, motorcycles, sedans, sports cars. You know, we've got a lot of different options because different people need different things. And I would say same thing to aquariums. Like I can think of one instance right now that would be a shout out to an old YouTuber, still a YouTuber. I don't want to say, but old video, at least 2 years old now. Would be Aquanut did a canister filter or did a video on canister filters and did a whole series kind of on ADA compliant fish keeping. So like maybe if you were stuck in a wheelchair, I shouldn't say stuck in a wheelchair, maybe you were in a wheelchair or had a hard time standing for a long time, it could make a lot of sense to have your filter down low as opposed to a hang-on back that you can't reach, right? So obviously there are applications to every single type of filtration, and a lot of it does come down to preference. And I've said that in many, many videos of like, if you love spending Saturday nights cleaning a canister filter, well then a canister filter is amazing for you. Just like if I had a Ferrari and I spent every Saturday night just polishing it and petting it, then yes, I'm clearly getting value out of that Ferrari. But I feel like if I owned a Ferrari, I would drive it every once in a while and I would kind of hate it, like, dang, thing's dirty again? An oil change is $400? Are you kidding me? You know, so I do think different filters for different people. That being said, I think we should spend some time as a hobby identifying what is it we need. Does 6-inch African cichlids, do they need an Aquaclear 110? Do they need an Aquaclear 50? Do they need an Aquaclear 70? What do they need? Like, I think we can't answer these questions, myself included. If you said, I have 26 neon tetras, how much surface area do I need? I would say, I have no idea. Maybe just what's in your aquarium already? Maybe not. I don't know. And so I feel like as big companies, we could start figuring this out. Like, if I was Fluval, I'm sure I've got a team of nerds that could figure that out. Like, this is recommended. Like, instead of recommending aquarium or filters per aquarium gallons, we should recommend it per fish load. Like, a way better metric is this canister filter handles 4 ounces of food a day, or 1 ounce of food a day, or half an ounce of food a day, because that's actually what the canister filter is doing, right? We put food in, bacteria breaks it down into something less toxic, and then eventually we clean it out of it. It would be a much better stat to know that if this was a canister filter and this could handle 1 ounce of food a day, whether it's on my 800 gallon or it's on my 125 gallon, that itself would be much more beneficial to any of us than saying it handles 50 gallons. It handles 120 gallons, right? And there is no standard for that, by the way. When you can make any claim you want, I can claim that this filter box thing, right? I could claim this will do an 800 gallon aquarium if I have 1 guppy living in it, right? I don't even have to prove it, actually. I don't even have to prove it. I can make claims because you can do that. Like, it's dumb that, because if you ever got taken to court, you're like, check it out, I have a 1-week-old guppy in there. Money's not a problem. I'm okay, right? So I just think that I think we could do better. So someone says maybe we do it in inches of fish. The problem is inches of fish still doesn't translate exactly to the food. Like, if you feed 3 times a day, let's say you have an Oscar that's this big, and you feed it 3 times a day, that is clearly different than someone who has an Oscar this big and feeds it once a day, right? And then how much do you feed? Oh, I feed 3 pellets 3 times a day, and I feed once a day, but I feed 25 pellets, right? So like, there's a lot of variance there. And I think that one of the easiest things we could do is like just by weight of food. Like, oh, this thing will handle 5 grams of food a day. That being said, it does take time. But when we're looking at something like a Fluval 306, right? They started out at 301. And I heard through the grapevine 307's coming out, right? And so, like, let's say you're 10 years into this thing. With 10 years, you have enough time to be like, turns out the 101 does 10 grams of food. The 201 does 15 grams of food or whatever, right? And then we could know. And I think that's where a company could really differentiate themselves in the hobby, is start running some of these tests. Let us know, what can this actually convert? You know, even if it was ammonia, that's something more than gallons per hour. So, all right. What else do I want to talk about? So what else do I think there was bad about them? I think I've covered most of it. They're not standardized. Why is it so hot in here? Am I just hot under the, is it a hat? A lot of times the hat will like, whew, let me get that hat hair going. Yeah. Gotta get crazy with crazy hair. Yeah. Plus, I do think in a failure scenario, canister filters, like sumps, are one of the worst failures. If your hang-on back, let's say leaks, it only leaks to where the intake is. And if that's halfway, all right. But like a hang-on back or a canister filter usually goes 3/4 down. You're going to drain at least 3/4 of that water, and it drains a lot faster typically. So I think when there is a failure or fault, you're much more likely to have bad results. The other thing is too, when people are running hang-on backs or sponges or something like that, odds are more likely they'll run more than one filtration source. Canister filters, a lot of time, people only run one. I mean, there are people that run 27 of them, but if you're only running one and the motor goes out, you've lost all your filtration. Whereas if you have two hang-on backs or two sources, if one goes out, you're still going to limp along. It's kind of like I've got two pretty crappy cars instead of one really nice car. Well, when that nice car got into an accident, now I have no cars. And I think you're just spreading that risk over, and I think that's a good thing. I think redundancy is a good thing, and I also like the fact that there are breeders like Greg Sage who would never use a canister filter. He only uses stuff that he can clean very easily every week. His goal is to remove mulm and debris as often as he can. Not collect it, physically remove it. He thinks, and he believes in his own testing, that even just having mulm in the system has negative effects on his growth rates. And I think in a perfect world, if everything was the same, I would choose to have garbage like leave my house instead of like, I've got a dumpster inside my house, guys. I can go 3 months without rolling this thing out the back door. You know, I think it's a better thing to be like, my garbage can's smaller and I take it out every 2 days or 3 days or whatever that's going to be, right? So, we do have a record going on, by the way. 1,815 people. That is only 185 away from 2,000. And I'm pretty sure the world implodes at 2,000. So if you guys want to make that happen, go ahead and get on the TikTok and do the Aquarium Co-op meme. All right, let's get back to the endorsers and the haters. The Magnum 350 was great until they ruined it. I don't know. The fact that you had to burp the Magnum, I was never a fan of that, to get the air out. Like, oh, gotta get it out. And then you clip it and you get a little bit of water out of it. Like, it was good on its time. At its time, it was good. But I think technology's gone so far now. So far that what we think is good is great for 2010. The thing is, we're closing in on 2020. And that's something I think about a lot, is like, so you're telling me the same canister filter we've had since like 2002 is still the best technology in 2019? How do we not get this better? Like, everything else on the planet pretty much got better except for aquarium stuff. And I think it's because a lot of this industry is, well, if no one makes something better, we all just keep selling the same stuff. And then someone goes, oh, here's something better. Everyone has to rise up to the occasion, right? And they're going, hey, quit doing that. You're losing us all money. So, 2 hang-on backs versus 1 canister, you're twice as likely to encounter a failure with 2 devices. That could be true. am I twice as likely to get an accident having two cars? I don't know if that's true. You would also have to take into account, for instance, how much wear and tear on a pump head is head height versus a hang-on back with less head height, right? They're both using impellers. They both might be using metal or ceramic shafts. And so, I feel like that is true of, yes, you could say you're opening yourself up to more risk. That being said, it really would depend what you're comparing against each other, right? Like, I feel like that's a true statement. And like two canister filters, you'd have twice as many failures, possibly, but when you did have a failure, it would hurt half as bad, right? So like, what if you had 100 canister filters and when one failed, you lost 1/100th of your filtration? Like, well, that's not bad. Oh, what about them spray bars? Spray bars, they make aeration better, but not good. That's the thing, is like, I need to redo that whole series because the internet is still convinced that a spray bar, a hang-on back, a canister filter are really good at adding aeration to an aquarium. And for all of my testing, my results could not be more opposite of that. Like, any airstone completely demolished any other type of oxygen exchange people are relying on. So I need to redo that apparently because it's something I need to debunk. And the video I filmed, it took me weeks and weeks and weeks, and we lost some of the footage, and it was bad. We ended up deleting it because the internet just refuses to believe it. They refuse it. And I would always just ask, like, well, where's your study? No, I know. Okay, clearly you know, but who did you learn from that knows? No, I know. Like, okay, that's not science again, One of my thoughts about biohome media, is it worth it? So in my experience, no, it's not worth it. In general, biohome's claim to fame is that it will grow bacteria that will take out nitrates out of your water, right? Anaerobic bacteria. That means that you would have to have no oxygen in your canister filter for it to absorb nitrates. Now, how are you going to pull that off when it's ramming through there at 900 gallons per hour on your 55-gallon tank, right? And then you want to keep fish alive in the main display. The reality is you can't do that. Now, you could like really get the flow down and actively work on making sure you run out of oxygen in that filter and get biohome to work. That being said, any other media would do that too. And so I myself am someone who has purchased some biohome, and then remember the little spheres that would like instant cycle your tank? They're these gel balls. I think I still have some in Murphy's FX6. I bought them because I wanted to be able to give them away to customers that would buy fish and starting up a tank, and they have bacteria, put it in your filter, it'll dissolve. Well, like 3 years later, they were still 100% like not dissolved, and I was like, this is a giant scam. And it was a giant scam. The biohome media, I think personally, it is just some fired clay. It will grow bacteria just fine. It will grow anaerobic bacteria just like other bacteria or other medias will. I think that how do I say this without getting myself into too much trouble? I feel like we're leading people to believe it can do something that maybe it can't do, right? Well, it's not that it can't do it. It's that the way we use it, it wouldn't do it. So to me, it's kind of like when you do a bunch of marketing on a Nike sneaker, and you're pretty much like, if you wear this Nike, you're pretty much Michael Jordan. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to say that those Nikes aren't better than wearing flip-flops to the basketball game, but let's be real with our expectations here. And I feel like that's what's going on, is that like the internet is kind of keep whipping up. And when no one stops it, by the way, when the brand that sells it and all that doesn't say like, well, we might be overstating this a little bit. It just keeps letting it get whipped up because it makes more money. Kind of the same thing when I had to end the hype train on the Zis filter. Like people people were losing their minds on how this is the best thing that's ever been made. And it's like, look, people, at the end of the day, we're growing bacteria on media. There's a billion different ways to do that. This is one different way that is not clearly superior. It is just different, and different applications it might be really good in. And there are some applications I like it in. But I feel like as a product owner, if you're not trying to keep the honest info going about your product, like you're like, well, people believe that this makes you look 5 years younger. Just holding the box, baby face, right? Like if people believe that, you're kind of doing a disservice to your customers by not setting the record straight either. And so that's just part of that. Like, you don't have to be dishonest. And I do believe by not saying anything sometimes in the extreme, you could be dishonest, right? All right, now it's time for our sponsored ad. That's right, we've gotten so big, we have a sponsored ad. Are you ready? Today is brought to you by Aquarium Co-op. Yes, that is the company that employs me. I also own that company, and it's the only sponsor we ever have because it's Aquarium Co-op. Today, I have this box. Ooh, look at this box. Ooh, nice white OEM box. What does it say? Oh, it's the shrimp hideout. We actually already renamed them to shrimp shelters because I thought it sounded cool, right? Made in China. Full disclosure, made in China. Look at this thing. Doubles as an eye patch. Some people call it a shrimp shelter. I call it an eye patch. And it's pretty cool. If you've never looked through a shrimp shelter right in the eye, you don't even know what you're missing. And for only $3.49, I think, I don't know what I priced this thing at, you could have one too. So yeah, new product, little shrimp hides. The actual thing I like to use them for is putting a little bit of moss inside, and then all the moss grows out of the holes. And you can use this with African cichlids. You can use it with some other turtles and that kind of stuff that would love to eat it. And then, yeah, shrimp can go in there and hide. Babies can go in there and hide. It's great if you put moss in here and you get like scuds and other little creepy crawlies in the tank going. Yes, this is 1/2 of a wiffle ball. You put two of these together, guaranteed to improve your pickleball game. I guarantee it. So, yeah, a little shrimp cavey, hideout, shelter, if you will. Brought to you by... Oh, why don't I have two of these? Wiffle Ball Man. God, I'm so bad at this. Could have been Wiffle Ball Man. Playing better next time. Someone get on that marketing department. You're terrible. So... All right, what are we going to talk about? I feel like people are super angry about me not liking canister filters. What can you do, right? 1920? Come on, 80 more people. You clearly own 80 more computers out of all of you. 80 more YouTube accounts. Don't even try and tell me you don't have 4 more accounts that you use to troll me on a regular basis. Oh, I don't agree with him, but I've got my member account over here. I don't want him to ban me, so hold on. Yeah, let me log on to IHateAquariumCoop.com. Hey, you look weird. Yeah. All right, we got some new members, and I know we got some super chats. I'm going to hit up on those. How heavy are these? They're not super heavy. I don't know the weight. It seems like a guy that was going to rant about knowing the weight of how much fish food things could process might know the weight. 1/4 of a pound, I have no idea. I'll say this, in all of my testing of this product, I never thought, how much does this weigh? I never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind. So, canister filter versus a sump? Well, I'm a fan of everything. I think, I should have called it the Shrimp Shack. There's probably a patent on that I get, or like a trademark thing I get sued for. That seems too cool for me. But some I like the customization of them. Now, I feel like, to me personally, this is me personally, I feel if we're gonna go back to a car analogy, I feel like the sump is like that weekend car you're always tinkering on, like, ooh, I'm gonna tweak this, ooh, I'm gonna order a new performance part, I'm gonna install it myself. It's always gonna like half be awesome, half not. Because it's like, well, it's kind of got a gas leak right now, and, I'm waiting on a thing, and, it's going to be super cool once I get the cylinders bored out, and, it's like 6 years from now, when I actually put this thing back together, it's going to be awesome. And I feel like a sump is the same way. Like, yeah, you could buy one that's done, but most people are hodgepodging them together. And I think the fun of it is very important. Like, I had a lot of fun building that sump. I like knowing the quirks of it. Of like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing. Like, give it a little tap and it works. And sumps, they add more water capacity, which is cool. You can definitely flood if you're not careful. You can get them to do anything. They don't always save you money though, and I do think it's a great weekend project. Like, no, I play with this thing because I find it enjoyable. That being said, like right now I have a giant sump on there that is not needed on that 800 gallon like at all. Like the fish load in there is so low. I actually thought about, if this live stream went too wrong, like, oh no, people really hating on me, just turning off all filtration on the 800 gallon and just be like, look at that, I only change water once a day and don't even need filtration. Like the sand, the coarse gravel or coarse sand is covering it. So what I do mostly like sumps for is hiding equipment. That would be like protein skimmers, heaters. I have all my air equipment, so I have an underground filter with air stones in it, and so and a bunch of crushed coral down there, and there are uses for it. I just don't want to. I'm laughing that someone's got 5 devices going and their internet's starting to suffer. Oh geez. We're gonna bring the internet down. Like, oh no, Wisconsin's down. There's too many Aquarium Co-op members all signed into every device. There are uses for it, but that being said, out of all of my tanks, which I think at this point all of my tanks is probably around between 150 to 200. We have 3 sumps. So, I mean, that gives you, like, how much we're actually using it. Whereas someone like the Corvus Oskin, he probably has 6 tanks and uses 6 sumps. And he really likes them. So, yeah. I would say that they definitely have a place. I don't want to say they don't, because they do. Because I use them. Everything, I use canister filters too. But at the same time, we don't recommend a sump to every new hobbyist because we realize that's too advanced. And I think canister filters are a little too advanced as well without proper explanation. Not that they couldn't do it, but without proper explanation, it can get you into a world of hurt. So, alrighty. We've got some new members. We've got Melanie Mayhem. We've got Alex Larson, Wesley Belland, and Megan Peterson. Thank you for becoming members. The more members we get, the more YouTube loves us. And one day, that'll be worth something. I don't care what it is, something. Someday, it'll be something. I don't know what it is. Hey, Corey, I got a Kakuta puffer? I don't even know how to say that. Mine is coming on Friday. Could you tell me more what I know about them? Not really, because I don't know a whole lot about them. Robert's been ordering those things in. I think it's a red-eye puffer, right? I'm Googling. Because I've never kept one in person. And to me, if I haven't kept it in person, I don't really know a whole lot, and I'm just making sure I haven't kept it. I'm looking at it. Oscillated puffer. Yeah, I've never kept it. So, I can't really tell you much about it. Now that I haven't, they are one of the red-eye species, but in general, I never kept many of the red-eyes, so yeah. Sorry. I just don't want to talk out of turn, The fish tank bar, why buy a fish tank barn, not bar. Why buy a canister filter when you can spend that money and get a sump? I do believe that canister filters for some people are less risk, right? I also feel like if you were in a dorm room, if you had a big sump, they might be like, hey, that thing's bigger than your aquarium. Whereas if you had a canister filter, you'd be like, actually, that's not an aquarium. So there's some weird little things. That being said, I feel like to do a sump, you got to be half decent with the DIY. And if you're not, clearly the sump will be more expensive than a canister filter. So half of my hate on a canister filter is due to expense. And we can't just, we can't discount that, I think. Let's see. I don't understand canister filters. The easiest one is an underground filter. It just works out of the box. It's hidden very well. It keeps things simple and cheap. Yeah, the reality is in a perfect world where people didn't make money on what they say, I think we'd be using a lot more undergravel filters. I think we'd be using a lot more sponge filters, but there's not really replaceable parts on those. And so long term, there's not a lot of money in it. And so I believe that money is a driving factor for my business included. And, you know, like part of the reasons why I don't sell underground filters, they're ridiculously hard to ship. They're kind of brittle plastic, they're big and oblong, like they don't really fit into our shipping scheme. If they did, I probably would sell them. But that's one of the reasons I don't. It's not because I gotta make that money. I pretty much make the same amount of money whether I sell you a sponge filter or undergravel anyway. I use some undergravels and I like them, but the shipping thing is brutal. So, because they're just, yeah. And, there's some variants in there. And I feel like you want to talk about old, not updated technology. Look at undergravel filters. Those things have not really been updated. There's a few new builds I've seen here and there around the world, but they're still like, I mean, technically it might be better. Maybe. So, can you show me your flue ball light settings on planet tanks? Maybe. I'm just running some standard ones though, I think. I think I'm running the planted, and then let me make sure I can show you without just like, giving you my social security number or something. Like, oh, see if I can pull this off. So I'm running this setup on my 75-gallon tank. Oh, all my tanks, including the 800-gallon. Let's see if I can get that. So you're gonna have to like slow this down and watch this and look at like, okay, what hours and what settings is he at? And I think it's, let me look here. Yeah, I mean, I think I took maybe Tropical River. I'd have to look at it again. I think I took Tropical River and adjusted a little bit, and then the timings, and then I made a little setup called Corey's Preferred Setup. And I really wish they had a way that I could share this with you guys and be like, hey, check it out, bloop. And I suppose I could write an article and like, yeah, set this one at 22%, set this one at this, set this one at this. But mostly it's got low blues. If I go back here, you'll see that blue is all the way off, because blue mostly, it'll make blue fish look good, but it mostly just grows algae. So I have it on at night because I like a little bit of nighttime look to it. But so I hope that helps you as much as I could. Maybe if you stop on it, you can see. What's the point of having a tank down that low? How do you enjoy the tank on the floor? Some of my favorite moments in my fish keeping career has been laying on the floor and watching fish. So, we all don't like the same stuff, but, tanks that I have at eye level, I kind of look at, but ones that I lay on the floor, like let's say I'm watching a movie or something and I'm like laying by the tank, I spend a lot more time just seeing what's going on in there than something that might be at eye level where you're kind of looking at it as you walk by. And, maybe not everyone likes to do that, but I'm a guy that, likes to lay down by a fish tank sometimes. And it might be weird, but I used to do it in my old office as well when I had lower tanks, like just watch the shrimp. And for me, pretty much when I'd lay down on the floor, I was committing like, I'm going to spend some serious time looking at this tank. And the average tank, I feel like I might look at it for like 5 minutes. But when I lay down, you might be like, oh yeah, I just spent 2 hours next to this tank because I was working on a project and watching TV or watching a movie or whatever, and I guess it slowed my life down, and which might have enhanced my enjoyment of the aquarium, I guess. I don't know. That's just me. Largemouth bass. Mouse bass, that's right. Got mouse bass coming around. Just because there's 1750 plus watching. That's right. Have we gone up? We etched it up. 1951. There's only 49 more to go. Think of what we could do if Facebook wasn't broken. How dare you, Facebook? Zuckerberg's trying to take me down. It's fighting the YouTubes again. Ooh. Luckily, Joel from New Zealand has shared the stream on MySpace, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. We're saved. Got to get them LinkedIn people in. That's the only way you can actually get a hold of Flue Ball. LinkedIn. That's not true. I just sponge filters rule. Yes, they do. New members: Kyle Knudsen, tactile run 556 spear, and then Brad with a question: any resources for people who would like to be more precise? Would like to do more precise experiments? What does the fish keeper science community look like? I think it's a bunch of people doing their own testing, not sharing. So part of the problem is anytime you share anything you're trying to figure out, there's 40 people going, nah, that's not how you do that. Like anytime I try to go, I'm trying to figure this out, like, well, I'm not going to do the test, but I already know you're doing it wrong. If I was going to do it, I'd make it way more difficult. And like, cool, except I might actually get to the end of this experiment and know something. Like, I get it that I didn't sterilize the pipette before I drew the water, but if I have to do that, I'm not going to do the experiment. So there's that. So I feel like a lot of times when you figure that out, you like just go make money from it. You're like, oh, then I opened up my own store, I opened up my own wholesale facility, or I'm breeding this. And so I don't feel like there's a good community for like real experimentation, critical thought group effort on something like that. I mean, it might exist. Maybe I'm just not invited, right? Like, oh, not that guy. That guy is horrible. You know, but someone did follow up, if you remember from a few live streams ago, on the 2 different betas eating different foods. One was protein, one was spirulina based. And it's in the community section on my YouTube tab. And you can read the longer thing, but the synopsis was, surprised that the beta with the spirulina diet had more body mass. So the opposite result of what they were expecting. And then we made kind of some hypothesis of like, well, if they were lacking a nutrient, like in theory, protein should make that fish bigger. But if it was lacking a nutrient, you'd be limited by that nutrient. And so possibly a protein with spirulina blend would get you even better results. But, you know, this is not super scientific. It was only one experiment. It wasn't replicated. There's more work to be done. And, but yes, that kind of stuff. That being said, if you take that same experience and you go into the beta groups and be like, I found a thing. You just have an army of people going, no, you don't. That's not how that works. Nope. My canister filter, no, that adds oxygen to my aquarium. Like, I mean, it ups the transfer rate, but technically not. You know, no, I know it does. Okay, yeah, but do you own a DO meter? I don't need to know. I don't need to own one. I know it. Okay, you know, like I know my protein food's better. Like, I mean, yes, in theory it is. So it was cool to get the results on that, and I appreciated the person following up, because when I say like, let me know how that goes, I genuinely want to know. Otherwise, I would just not say, let me know how it goes. Like, I don't care, you know. So, Candyman Cody joined up Daryl Dimer with the $10 super chat. And, ooh, Daryl, are you going to be at Aquashella on either side, Dallas, Texas, or Chicago? That's coming up, by the way. So people have been asking me, because I was in the chat earlier getting videos ready to release for you guys. They're like, where are you going? We go to Orlando, Florida next week, and I've got a fish farm I'm going to visit, a plant farm I'm going to visit, and then I got to talk with all the bigwigs of all these companies, and then, you know, basically let them look down at their nose at me because I'm a 35-year-old that thinks he wants to make the industry better. Meanwhile, they're 60 and grouchy and just want to make more money. So there's that. That's a fun time for 5 days probably. And then I come back for 3 days or so, and then me and Jimmy, we fly back out and we go to Aquashella. We arrive on a Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to a different fish farm that I'm super stoked to go to. I've been trying to get there for 5 years. And then Friday, there's like a talk I give, which is like going to be to like vendors and influencers and that kind of stuff, kind of a business talk. And there's the VIP meet and greet. So if you're a VIP ticket holder, we'll be doing kind of a special meet and greet. Then there's Saturday. I don't know if I speak on Saturday or Sunday for Aquashella, but I speak one of those 2 days, and we fly back Sunday night. Yeah. And then I'm back in the saddle and can get some stuff done. So I'm going to miss probably 2 live streams, but I'm going to see what I can do. Like, I want to see if I can line something up somewhere. I don't know if I can. I don't know how good the hotel room will be, and if I could, like, ooh, is there a YouTuber I could siphon their internet? I don't know yet, but I'm going to try. I don't want to leave you guys hanging, because I know what it's like when Aquarium Co-op fans start going through withdrawals. You know, they start drinking that easy green and hulking out. You know, it's a little crazy. So, videos on the plant farms? We'll see. Like, I always go there. Most times I'm going somewhere for business, and then I ask, like, by the way, while I'm here, could I highlight some good things about your business? And sometimes they go, no, we'd rather not. Or sometimes they go, film whatever you want. And I go, oh, indeed I will. So we'll see. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to overstay my welcome, so to speak. Like, bust in like the Kool-Aid man and just, I got cameras everywhere. You know, because it changes changes the way that conversations go. We need to have some high level conversations for sure. So, any tips to clean a floor tank? I can't get the gravel vac going, and the water changes are a struggle. Yeah. So do I have it in here? I'll go grab it. More prop time. I'm running with the hose. I feel like Dustin's fish tanks all of a sudden. All right. This is how I set up all of my Python kits. One end is I always use the Cobalt 1200 gallon per, well, 1200 liter per hour, which is about 300 gallons on one end that I can plug in and pump water from anywhere. And then on the other end, I do a Python. So water comes out of here, I pump water from here. Now, we replaced my sink and I don't have an adapter to plug this thing into. So I put a bucket in there, turn the water on, I can pump water to my tank. This is in the living room. And then if I had a really low tank, you just put that down low in there and then you pump the water to your sink. Now you might be going like, well, that doesn't gravel vac. Well, on a bottom tank, maybe you set it up so you got some earth heaters or some corridors really digging stuff up. And then you can just pump water out and do frequent water changes. If you're on a higher tank and you want a gravel vac, I typically use a gravel vac and hose into like a laundry tub, and I have this sitting in there pumping the water out. So that way if I ever accidentally sucked up a baby fry or anything like that, like it's still going to be down in there and I can save it. And so that's the way I've always run it, because you get much better suction from the tank down into that laundry tub than you do all the way to a sink. And then I also like to be able to pump the water so I can pump it on a garden or something like that. So this is how I set mine up. Normally you would have a part that attaches to a sink, and you'd be missing this part. It would have the siphon, but I really like to break those two functions up. So I'm a guy that has a lot of aquariums, right? So I'm typically moving water around, and I'm siphoning the next aquarium, right? Like I'm refilling this one, working on the next one, and then I go, okay, let's start filling this one, and then work on the next one. This one is the 25 foot kit, and I just replaced each end. So yes, this is not a cheap setup. When you're looking at a power head that's like 40 bucks, and then you're looking at this thing, which is 20 bucks, and then this whole thing was probably another 50 bucks or whatever. That being said, I replaced the one I had because it got a bunch of stuff on it from construction, and I was worried that it might hurt a fish. But I used the same one for like 10 years straight, both the store, my maintenance business, and home. And so I thought, you know what? After 10 years of being in the hobby, I'm worth a new Python. And so I got myself a new Python. And, a clean Python, whew, that's a thing of beauty, let me tell you. Well, it's not even all algified and crusty and gross. And it's crazy. The tube is still flexible. After 10 years, that other one was getting pretty rigid. So, but I do have a problem. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I try not to waste money, So yeah, that's just a guy that's, changed water on hundreds and hundreds of tanks for many years. That's the most efficient way that I've found, in case I'm ever sucking up shrimp or anything like that, that I can protect stuff and move water, and you'd get to clients' homes that wouldn't have a sink you could attach to, and it worked in every situation. It's the best thing I could come up with. So, your situation might be a little different. I might be able to come up with something slightly better, but this handles 98% of all situations I've ever run into. So, yeah. All right, where were we? Besides, yeah, I don't know. Okie doke. One of these days I'm going to walk off and get distracted forever. Do the John Travolta. Someone make that into a meme for me. I would love you forever. Just like, oh, I've got my own John Travolta meme. Walk around like, canister filters, why? Okay, that's something I want. Let's get Aquarium Co-op meme community going. How do we get that? Do we need to make a Facebook group? Like, I've got my own mod chat, and they'll troll me, and I find it pretty hilarious. And yeah, we need to make that a thing. I don't know that I want to like sidetrack the Aquarium group support. Like, that's kind of a, well, you know, I really want to help people there, but then there's that whole like I just want to laugh a bunch, and so maybe we got to start Aquarium Co-op meme, Aquarium meme. Well then, yeah, but yeah, let's figure it out. Start thinking of your good Aquarium Co-op memes, and we'll start having some fun. Optimal settings for a Flue Ball 3.0 on low light plants. Probably just turn down the intensity. Like I mean, maybe I could build one. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a whole show where I build some different profiles, and then I could share them with you guys. Maybe. Oh, Reddit. Reddit hates me though. I never get along with Reddit. They're always like, "You're just trying to sell stuff," and I'm like, "Yes, I literally am a business, and all I do is sell stuff." You know, and it's like, your name leads people to go to your website. And I'm like, yes, it does. That's the whole point. Like, but I didn't even say, go buy this. I didn't have a link or anything like that. And, but yes, maybe a Reddit group. I don't know though. Maybe do I need to do like a YouTube poll? And we'll do like, do we do Facebook? Do we do Reddit? Do we do, I don't know if there's any really other spots that really do that. We need an app. AquariumMemes.com. I tell you what. How much do I like this DC pump? Well, I ordered one about a year ago and it came dead in the box. And then I like made fun of Joel for a while because he loves them. And then I sent that one back right after it was broken. And then I got this one about a week ago and I haven't done anything with it yet. So I like it about as much as the Amazon reviews say, I guess. All right. Yeah. I'm just laughing because Candy says Reddit hates her too. Yeah, it's a group you're either in or you're out, and I'm out. I'm not in that group. No way, get that guy out of here. Your tip with the power head on the Python just saved us. My 5-gallon pail water change is horrible since my faucet adapter won't fit a new faucet. Yes, so that's part of like, there's over 800 videos on the Aquarium Co-op channel, and that is featured in probably 5 of them at least. So like that back catalog, there's so many tips, especially the fish room updates, the daily doses, all that stuff was like, check it out, I'm doing a thing, look at this thing. And so you can really gain a lot if you were like cooking dinner and each day you just had me talking in the background. You might be like, wait a second, what do you say? Canister filters are dumb? We'll turn that guy off. But you might pick up a useful thing or two as well. So Bracken's computer died, so he had to bring out the phone. That just tells me you didn't log in on both to begin with. I'm so sad. All right. 1951 is going to be the record. We're going to have to shoot for 2000. We'll formulate, maybe we'll get together in the meme group and we'll form a meme assault on the aquatic industry that'll get us to break over 2000. Yes, we'll do it with memes. If you put enough memes, you can do anything. I'm pretty sure you can take over small third world countries with enough meme usage. So, you need a TV show, Corey. Well, I was supposed to have a Skype call with someone from HBO. HBO? Can't even talk. HBO about like the CARES program and stuff, but he sent a message and I sent a message, and then that time came and went, and the call never happened. So he probably looked into me and realized I'm a moron and was like, whoa, dodged a bullet there. Or maybe we'll talk tomorrow. Who knows? Thanks for sending me the replacement CO2 regulator. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Well, Marcus, I would say you're welcome, except I still feel bad. Anytime we have to send a replacement of anything, I just instantly feel like, why aren't we just better? Like, why isn't the company better? Like, I will stand behind stuff, but I'm always just disappointed of like, like just the fact that your product didn't work out of the get-go is like, dang it, we have the technology to get past this. So, we'll see. I'm always trying to improve. Like, my employees think I'm insane that so we have like reviews, right, on the webpage. We're over like 10,000 of them now, and it's got a daily like running total, like, or a weekly total. If we're ever drop before 4.9, I'm pretty much the saddest guy around. It's like we only strive for excellence, and every once in a while I'll hit like a 4.89. I'm just like, God, why are we so bad? And the reality is, most of the time we're at like 4.93, and that's how much attention to detail that if we were to slip below 4.9 to 4.89, radical change has got to happen. And so that's the level we're trying. We're trying at that level. Redbeard, you are late to the chat, but it says, so why is my Flueball 306 bad? My tank thrives with a canister filter. Doing regular maintenance and plants. I just got here. I would say rewatch this whole thing, and then you'll know that it's bad in the fact that like you have a planted tank, and almost right there you probably don't even need a filter. So it's that. You know, it's kind of like saying, why is the third truck I own bad? Like, well, maybe you don't need 3 trucks. Like, it's not that trucks are bad, but you don't need 3 of them. Maybe. See my alfalfa hair going on from the hat? Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Weird question about canister filters. Is there an optimal direction to point the output? Like if it's on the right corner, is it better to point the output inward towards the glass? There are, like, if you want to slow down your flow, point it towards the glass. That'll help diffuse it a little bit. I typically try to get like a triangle pattern going. So if the outlet's right here, I shoot towards the middle of the glass so it bounces and brings it back towards an intake. Sometimes you can make a case for having intake and outlet on the same corner so that you're trying to get a full sweeping motion. Depends a litling bit on where you're placing your decor in your aquarium and how strong the pump is and that type of thing. So please discuss the difference between ammonia generated from uneaten food versus digested food. Is it equivalent or nearly so? I don't know if I have the information to accurately report on that. I think in that sentence, are both those ammonias equal? Yes. But at the same time, digested food typically, like, there's going to be urea, but then there's going to be like mold or fish poop, and that'll have bacteria on it, and that would break down faster, and it wouldn't necessarily be ammonia. It'd be more of like nitrite and nitrate. I don't know. I'd have to do some testing there. I'm not even sure how I would analyze that test, other than you'd almost have to have like, okay, here's 6 neon tetras, here's not 6 neon tetras, here's 3 pellets and 3 pellets, and then continually measure those. Yeah, you'd have to do that kind of experiment, I think. I was giggling a little earlier because someone said, clean your bathroom. That's right. Keep a clean bathroom. Keep a clean filter. Keep a clean tank. That's going to be the meme for sure. Keep your bathroom clean. Or like, there needs to be some kind of like worried character. And it's like, Corey's coming over. Clean the bathroom. Oh, man. Molman outdoor tubs. Leave it or remove it. I'm a fan of leaving it. I think it's better, leads to a stable environment for the critters I want to grow, which are, Cyclops and Daphnia and that kind of stuff. Will you ever try the air pump test? Okay, hold on. Will you ever try the air pump test to test how much CO2 an air pump brings into the tank? I would say the answer to that is no, unless I start some kind of weird series where the answer is yes. It wouldn't be that hard, I guess. I'm doing some brain thinkings here. I would just have to figure out how could I have something that would accurately report ppm of CO2, and then get a baseline, and then add an air stone, and as long as it went up, point would be proven. That doesn't seem impossible to pull off. Even though I'm fairly confident, even if I show that, people will be like, that ain't how that works. Like, okay. But yeah, they're probably... Yeah, we could probably do that. I want to get to a point where I've got, like, some people that can help me do that. because it's too much work for me to do it all myself. More puffer questions. Pulstras puffer. That's another type of red eye puffer, right? There's like 17 different red eye puffers that they all get sold interchangeably. Oh, it's not. Oh wait, yes it is. Let me. Yeah, it is one of the red eye. Also kind of called the target puffer sometimes. Comes from Thailand. I don't have enough experience with them because too often, like part of the problem is with all the red-eyed puffers, you can be like, oh, I bought it as this. That doesn't mean it is that. There's so many of them. They're kind of interchangeable that you don't really know. Like, I couldn't tell you, like, oh, I kept one of those, but I couldn't tell you for sure which type it was. And, yeah, so even on like the puffer form, they're arguing between the palustris and the Kutkudia puffers, like, and they're trying to, what are the differences? What are the, you know? So, yeah, for as many puffers I've kept, I've never dabbled in that because I've always just gone, I like more peaceful puffers or bigger ones. So those don't really fit into either of those two. How long after treating internal parasites with general cure is it safe to add new fish? Well, this is assuming you quarantine the other fish, I guess, right? Safe to add new fish. I would say at least a couple of weeks, at least 2 weeks, make sure their feces returns to normal. Could you help direct me to where I could buy a tank that's around 200 gallons, preferably more of a cube, and how much would I have to pay? 200 gallon cube, you could probably get a Marineland version. They have, what are those? That's probably gonna be like $1,500 with stand and tank. You could do a custom acrylic one that would probably be more like 1,700 or so. But I would look at the Marineland double deep. I think there's a 3 foot by 3 foot cube that is at least 150 gallons. I'm not quite sure how many gallons it is off the top of my head. And I don't know of any other mass producers that are doing cube tanks of that kind of size. Yeah. So Marineland, and then any stores that are carrying Marineland could probably order that up for you. All right. Where are we at? We got, ooh, it's still early. My rant didn't go very long. Uh-oh. You probably missed it in the chat, but all your employees just volunteered to help out with that thing for free, just in case you missed it. I can't do that. That's illegal. So the minute my employees start running things for the business like that and I don't pay them, I can get sued. So inherently, the minute they start working on something, I have to pay them. So it's kind of one of those, like my wife could do it because she, you know, technically owns part of the business with me, but yeah, so I'd have to pay them. That's the thing. And so then it becomes this weird thing of like, you know, yeah. I've made a digital CO2 drop meter for $75, says Swift Aquarium. That's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing some pictures of that. So long as it wasn't like a pain in the butt with the like drop checker solution and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I was signing up for high school classes, and what advice would you give your high school freshman self to start a fish store? Right now I'm taking a lot of business classes. So business classes will help some probably, but some of the things that will be invaluable no matter what you do, sign up for every keyboarding class you can ever take. Because the faster you type, the more money you can make. Like, I type roughly 80 to 100 words per minute of familiar text. So if it's coming from my own brain, I type really quick. If it's unfamiliar text, like I have to copy what I'm reading, it's more like 60, 65 words per minute. And that is a skill that as your business makes more money, that skill will always make you more money. So the faster you can type, the faster you can reply to people, the faster you can do that. I would also recommend anything that can help you learn memorization. The fact that I can memorize wholesalers' price lists and regurgitate it back to them while talking to them makes it easier for me to negotiate a better deal. Like, I already know that you sell it to this person at this price. Like, how do you know that? Well, I read it once and now I recognize it, you know, and I just know. So that kind of stuff. And those skills will be useful no matter where you go. Also, it would be a good idea to really learn writing. Learning basic math and stuff definitely helps. You don't need to get too crazy into geometry and that kind of stuff for a fish store, but knowing how to put sentences together and punctuation, especially in a day and age where you're going to post to Facebook and YouTube and that kind of stuff, you're going to be judged by lots of people. Like I continually think about going back to school just to further improve upon my own grammar, sentence structure, that type of stuff, because that is something that improving yourself that way will be good for the rest of your life, no matter what. Whether you're writing a birthday card, whether you're writing an announcement, whether you're doing anything, right? And so those types of skills will be useful even if you decide 3 years from now, like, I don't want to open up a fish store. I want to do this. Like, it's always a good idea. Also, maybe take some public speaking classes, right? Any managerial classes. Working at the student store, you learn a lot. Like, how do you deal with people that don't want to do the work? They don't want to take the garbage out. Like, how are you going to deal with those employees in your own store down the road? So yeah, any of those things that you think might be applicable to what you're doing probably will. That being said, like learning a ton about like inventory rotation and that kind of stuff might not apply to you, because they're going to be like, here's your standard turn and your 90 days and all that. And you're like, that has nothing to do with live goods. I'm going to sell at my fish store. So it's not really applicable. When buffing acrylic aquariums, what grit do you suggest to use? 600, 1200, then 2000? I don't know. I usually Google it, and then I use like Novus 1, 2, and 3, and whatever the Googles told me. And I used a sander to do it. But I don't know off the top of my head because I avoid it because it's a ton of work. So I've only done it a few times, and every time I go, never again. And then I end up doing it again to, like for a video or something, or just because I really like that specific aquarium. So. How do you get into the aquarium group support? You have to go there on Facebook, which Facebook is like dying at the moment, like literally not working. And then you got to answer the 3 questions. And like one of them is like, do you promise to read the rules? Another one is, let us know what type of aquariums you have. And then there's another one that says like, do you promise to be a positive influence and help others? And that's what most people break. They go, yes, I do. And then the next day they get yelled at by their boss, and then they're bad to other people, and then we kick them out and ban them. So, as long as you be a good person, you can go pretty far in that group. Well, there was something else. Oh, do I sell Kabamba? We don't sell Kabamba because it's illegal in our state, so we don't sell that one online. All right. Hypothetically, if I pass away right now, who runs the business, and do you have a plan in place? I don't have an official plan in place. I think what would happen is Robert would continue to run the store. I think Randy would take over operations. And then I think the YouTube channel would mostly die because I don't know that anyone would step up to the plate and that people would embrace it enough. And then, so like it would become a lesser version of what Aquarium Co-op is right now. That being said, we have a meeting tomorrow, in fact, to look at life insurance policies and that kind of stuff of just like, what would we do if I died in Peru next week type of deal, And, but yeah, I don't think we have a good, it's kind of like, well, what would you do if you were an actor and then you die? Like, well, there's not really anyone's going to step in for that. So it's kind of that's a good question. But at least we have the business surrounding it to keep it going. And you might be able to hire talent, but it would be weird, right? Like, oh, we hired someone else. Now they're the face of the channel. Oh, they don't act the right way. They don't have the same ideals. That being said, would it work? It might, So, yeah, we try, obviously we're going to try not to die and put as much as we can in place, but, they're definitely, if I'm being honest, we're definitely making more personalities known on YouTube in case, not so much if I die, but what if I ever want to take a break? What if I want to be like, you know what, it would be rad to not shoot a video for 3 months, right? Okay, we got Robert, we got Jimmy, we got Randy, maybe we can get another personality or 2, and then, maybe that could okay, I could take a breather, and then I'm back, right? Because eventually you got to take a break. You can't just do something forever and keep quality up. So, yeah. That being said, we're not trying super hard. Like, I'm not hiring, people to take my job over, but we're just like, oh yeah, let's diversify a little bit. Plus, I think it keeps it a little bit fresh, you know. So, oh, my wife's making me knock on wood. All right, wood's been knocked on. So, do I know any coding languages, and is it helpful for business? I think it's useful to know how coding works. So I know, and when I say I know, at this point, I would say like I can hack my way through it, but I wouldn't be making a lot of money doing it because I'm not fluent in it. And I would say I learned in high school Pascal. I took these as foreign languages, Pascal and C++. And I learned for my senior project, I learned HTML so I could program a website. That was my senior project. And of those now, I don't think I use a little bit of HTML. I don't really utilize any of those, but the fact that when I'm talking to a programmer that I want to develop an app or change something on the website, or I'm talking about Excel spreadsheets, I'm like, yeah, just set up like an if-then statement of basically like, if this thing happens, then this will be done. And you can do kind of all that stuff. And because you know enough about logic and the way coding works, you know that, oh, I'm going to set a term, and then we're gonna, I'm gonna set a variable, and we know we're gonna plug information in. We know about records. We know about how these things work. It kind of helps you when you're designing systems and how things are gonna work, and you can know like it shouldn't be that hard to have a forum that uses my website login and the forum login are the same thing. We just have to make sure that in the records that we can cross those two things, right? We can go, oh yeah, your login here is the same over here. And that helps you when you're trying to describe how you want a SQL database set up to a developer, even though you don't know SQL very well at all, right? So it helps you in that, even though like it's very rudimentary of what I know, it helps convey what I'm trying to get done. So I would say it is useful, but I don't know that like having a degree in any one language is going to be super duper useful for you in your business. All right, falling behind. All right. Steve Sheldon says, recently sent 2 orders. The first, you had Snowpocalypse going on. The second order, I had Snowpocalypse going on. Received both orders promptly. You guys rock. Yes, so unofficially, we have grown to a size where USPS will now pick up from us on Sundays. They pick up pretty early, so it's not huge, but we can now, so we had the ability to send out on holidays, which is super cool. And now we have the ability to send out on Sundays, which is super cool. So we're starting to encroach in on like Amazon level, right? We ship 7 days a week, where most of our competitors are struggling to ship even 5, right? So like I'm excited about that because not being able to ship Sunday slows all our shipping down by a day. And by speeding up by a day, I feel like that's a huge boon. So when you place an order on Saturday, it used to be if we couldn't get it out Saturday, it would ship Monday. Now it'll ship Sunday and already be traveling all of Sunday night and Monday, right? So it's like almost a day and a half faster. And that's a huge thing in business logistics. And we're super excited about that. Like we still have to get more people on Sundays because we just got that. The first time it happened was last Sunday. So that's why we're hiring people. We got to get more people on Sundays to help get more packages out because we were running kind of a skeleton crew going, no, we could pack dry goods and they'll go out Monday. But now that we know they're leaving on Sunday, we can pack wet goods and get more going out. So we're super excited about that. I'm glad to hear that your packages arrived well. And yeah, hopefully this bomb cyclone won't affect too much going on. Let me find the other snooper chats. All right. Thanks for the local fish store rant. Quality is often sacrificed. Went to a big box store and we saw the fish full of ick. All we thought was, if only Corey saw this. Yep. What I will say is not the employee's fault. I've met several employees that they have to steal from their business to keep the animals alive. And what that means is the budget they're given can't possibly keep the fish alive. And so they have to damage product to put into the system. And that's a sad state when your employees have to steal from you to keep your livelihood alive. Like, that's just dumb. And so I tend not to fault the employees. Sometimes they're just like, oh, we don't care about fish. But there are lots of employees that really do care at these chain stores, and they're hamstrung because the corporation's so afraid that they're going to be spending too much. Because there is that other opposite of the extreme of like, oh, I don't care at all. Do I care so much that like there's one neon Tetra dead and I'm going to spend $72 to fix it? That's a money losing situation, just like doing nothing is a money losing situation. So I think they could dial it in more to a middle ground though. But hey, not my business. Will I ever create an aquarium co-op Discord, and will you make a video on my new Pseudotrophia solosi? I have already filmed a video on my Pseudotrophia solosi, so that is a yes. And when it comes to aquarium co-op Discord, I feel like it's just one more thing we have to manage that I'm not sure we're going to get more good out of. So what I mean by that is like, that's a whole nother thing that we got to keep our eye on, make sure that like bad stuff's not going on. Which, what does it bring that we don't already have in the live chats, in the community page, in the Facebook group, on the Facebook page, right? On Twitter, on Instagram, on the podcast comments. Like, we're already managing all of those. Adding another one, it's like, well, what do we gain besides some voice chat going on? Which, that always brings trolls, you know? So it's like, there's going to be, we need more mods, we need more infrastructure. You know, we also have all the emails we do. And so I've just been hesitant to add on one more thing to be like, oh, that's another headache. So, yeah. Dara Wong's a member. Thank you very much. Why not? Let's go through every puffer today. A Celis puffer. Any information? Let me Google and make sure that that is the Amazon puffer, which I'm 99% sure it is. Just want to make sure it is. Yes, we have a whole video called Amazon Puffer Fish Freshwater Care. It even showed up when I Googled it. And mostly they're a schooling puffer, relatively on the low aggression side. Their teeth grow really fast. Make sure they get a lot of snails and crunchy foods. They're all going to be wild caught. And make sure you deworm them in a store before you buy them. Make sure you see them eat before you take them home. And besides that, like other care requirements like pH and temperature and all that kind of stuff, go ahead and watch that video and it'll fill that in for you. Can you tell me why you can't use sand in an underground filter? What happens? Does it clog? Well, it'll kind of go through the pores, and then the water will be so slow to go through that it'll get gunked up. And as you pull stuff through it, it gets gunked up itself, and it's just gonna like, what am I trying to think? Like clog itself up. You'll fill up all the tiny little gaps, and then nothing will be moving through it. So you need gaps to collect stuff, but you need them to not get clogged up too early. It'd be like, is there a reason why we don't run garbage cans the size of this bottle? Like, well, it would get filled up like every 4 seconds, so we have to run a bigger garbage can. Kind of the same thing with that underground filter. If you run it too fine, it's just gonna get filled up too quickly. So, all right. Does Isha G-Dex deworm puffers? That is like a European medication that I've never got to use, so I don't know if that one specifically will deworm puffers or not. So don't know, unfortunately. Discord and Reddit have the same issues, being that people can be anonymous, unlike Facebook. I mean, every platform's got its pros and cons for sure, and you know, I can only be active in so many. So each one I add, I'm less likely to give attention to each one. So if I had to make an anti-parasitic food, which is better, pellets or flakes to soak in it? If I had to make anti-parasitic food, in my opinion, if I had to do that, I would do flake food because you can use alcohol, and as that evaporates out, it's going to leave the most amount of food to it. Pellets get a little bit weird, and so from my belief, I believe flake food would retain it a little bit better, and the alcohol method is the best. That being said, I so rarely do that I wouldn't consider myself a pro. Oh, Isha G-Dex has praziquantel at 66 milligrams on 100 milligrams. So praziquantel in general is a dewormer, and so it should do something good for you. I don't know what else is in there and that kind of stuff, and I always reserve the right, if I haven't used something, that doesn't mean that it will work or won't work, you know, and just because it lists an ingredient doesn't mean it always works. But I do believe it should for you. When did I change my quarantine trio? 6 weeks ago or so. The trio is the same. So all I did was change the antibiotic. It went from API erythromycin to Maricin. Maricin's active ingredient is erythromycin. Just at the 24 count, you get more for your money. So we're able to give you more antibiotic, which is the same erythromycin, more for the same money. So that's why we made the switch. Both products work the same. They're interchangeable as far as I'm concerned, and I haven't had any problems or anything like that. And so that's why I would say you're just getting a better deal. Now, unfortunately, if I can tell you guys a story, so we made that switch, right, to Maricin. We then ordered a normal amount of Maricin to make up for the API erythromycin. Turns out when we placed our order, we ordered more erythromycin or more Maricin about 4 weeks into this relationship than Fritz or Mardell had sold all of last year. So there's that for scale. Like Aquarium Co-op is scaling at a ridiculous rate, and we're having struggles. So like when people are like, when are you gonna get this back in stock? It's literally like, when is more gonna be manufactured? That's, and it's not even us. It's like, oh, he's making excuses. I remember specifically one customer, I think actually 2 customers did this for. So in the span of last week, this legit happened. We had our website software, they accidentally pushed an update live, and I say accidental, that turned us into having 2 warehouses. Then what happened was online sales were deducted from one, and in-store sales were deducted from another one. This made it so we oversold the quarantine trio by 2, which means that we had 2 customers waiting for a trio that we didn't have. So then I ordered from 3 wholesalers and the manufacturer, and we still couldn't get any in on time. One wholesaler was out, another wholesaler still on the way, and another one just got delivered today. So we ended up using 3 packs of API erythromycin to ship it out to them. Now the retail value on that's $45. So we lost tons of money. Well, not tons of money, but we lost money on those sales to make it right for the customer. And so like all that kind of stuff, like it was a warehouse nightmare. We got it figured out, but one of my biggest things on my mind right now is how do I limit out of stocks? Because you guys are buying, that's great for us, but we know that if we're out of stuff, you're forced to go to our competitors. And so we're trying as much as we can. That's why we're flying out to the farms. We're visiting with these people going, what can we do to prevent this? We have people that want to buy your products. We want to carry your products. How do we make sure this doesn't happen? And like right now, we're out of Fluval heaters. And like, so this is a real conversation that went down. We're out of Fluval heaters. In fact, I'll just, transparency. You guys love that, right? So I'm in my store today. Let me pull up the picture. This is a picture I'm sending to Fluval, right? Let me go find it. All right, here we go. This is a picture I'm sending to Fluval. Right here. Let me get that a little straighter. That's the wall where we sell heaters that typically is full of Fluval heaters. And I'm going to send them that picture and go, this is where your heaters should be, and we've been sold out for weeks. This is not good. Not only is it not good online, but when you walk into a fish store that looks like they don't sell heaters, we look pretty dumb. And then, so I emailed them, I'm like, what does it take to get enough heaters? Like, this is ridiculous. And I go, can you pull some from other warehouses? A couple days later, they come back and they say, I'm asking someone higher up if I can get the authority to move it from that warehouse and ship it to you guys. And I literally wrote back and I said, why does it have to be approved when I'm wanting to buy 100 of each size of heater? Like, that makes no sense. Like, I have the money, I want to buy it, why don't you want to sell it? And they're worried about the shipping cost. They're worrying about the shipping cost of bringing it from the Midwest or the East Coast to the West Coast where I am. And to me, Business 101 is telling me, like, how are you not more worried that I'm not just going to find another company to buy heaters from? If you're continually out of stock and I can't sell your heater and the internet thinks that I'm just not buying heaters, that's a way worse thing than you losing an extra $50 maybe on the shipping on these heaters. Now, they did approve that and they are on the way, but we're at least a week out from having all these heaters. So I have another week of my retail store and the online store essentially looking like we're still sold out of heaters, which we are. They have my money. But that's the kind of stuff where I have a legit sit-down meeting with Fluval at Global to go, what are we going to do to address these problems? Because it's not that I don't like your product. It's that if I don't have a product to sell, I look bad, you look bad, no one's making any money, we're not supplying the customers, they're going elsewhere. Like, this is not a working business relationship. How do we address this? And so we give them projections, it's like, just buy more, bring more in, whether it's from the manufacturer, whether it's from another warehouse, whatever it's got to be. Like, we know what we sell and we just need to have it. And if you guys have been following this for a while, you know that we continually are running into this problem. And that's what I worry about. Pretty soon when you're like, wait a second, it's been like a year we've been having this problem. To me, that shows me we're not fixing the problem. Like, we're not fixing it. Fluval's not fixing it. It's a continual problem, which either means A, I haven't ranted enough, or B, they're just never going to fix it. And if they're never going to fix it, we got to fix it. And if I fix it, that means it's probably not with Fluval. I either got to make my own heater, got to, work it out with a different company or something like that. Like, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know not having heaters in my store and not having them online is not the option. Out of all those options, that's not the option I'm choosing willingly. So, my hope is we sit down and we go, okay, you guys are willing to keep 300 of each size of heater on the West Coast. I'll commit to buying this many. People will be buying from me. It's going to work out. That's the, you guys make money. I make money, customer gets what they want, happy, happy, happy. That's all we got to do. So I really hope it comes with that. We leave there going, okay, we know you're serious, and we'll do that. Great. So, yep, see, like this guy right here, 2384 Aquatics. I tried to buy heaters from Aquarium Co-op twice. Both times were out, and I went to Ken's. So part of the problem is, like, we sell a lot, and our competitors typically don't sell nearly as many. So, like, let's say heaters come into the country and we buy a bunch and our competitors buy 50 of each and they're not selling many. And then we run out and then we go to buy more and there's no more to buy. Well, our competitors still have them in stock. So and then they look like, oh, look, they've kept them in stock. The reality is no one was buying from it. It's not no one, but at a much slower rate. And so we need coverage. So the next person says, kick Fluval and go with Eheim heaters. Eheim's pulling out of the American market. Like, they literally have just said, like, we don't care about the American market, we're pulling out. So much so, Eheim feeders have been discontinued by one of the largest wholesalers in the country. They service the entire country, and just Monday when I was placing an order, Eheim feeders are on closeout. So I bought 150 of them, which is a lot of money. And I don't know what we're going to do. Like, that's the thing. It's like, okay, let's see if we can buy direct from Eheim on this, because that is a good product. But that was the only one of the few products that the wholesaler was still carrying. They'd already discontinued all the heaters, all the canister filters, all that kind of stuff. And this isn't like just a Washington State wholesaler. This is United States wide discontinuing. So, and could it be because Eheim's selling directly to Amazon? There's no money to be made? Maybe. Could it be that Eheim is just completely pulling out? Maybe. Could it be that once I get to talk to the right person or Randy gets to talk to the right person, we can just bring them back in? Maybe. I don't know. But this is the kind of things that the business hoops we got to jump through like every week of like, why is there another fire to put out? Why all of a sudden is there a product I got to figure out what we're going to do? So I bought enough, for to last us a little while, but we got to figure out when we run out of these 150, then what? Like, we don't sell feeders now, apparently. Like, so there's always those kind of things. So not only am I trying to bring on new products, I'm trying to make sure we don't run out of good products that already are proven to be good. So it's a weird a weird thing that we're always trying to manage in business. You would think, like, you just think about business and you go, like, yeah, you just keep buying them and you keep selling them. Like, I wish it was that easy. I wish my job was like, I place the order, they come in, and you guys buy them. That's all I do. I spend all day on the couch. Look at that, making monies. Like, I wish it was that easy. I so wish that would be a thing, because that gives me so much more time for the hobby. Like, I wouldn't have to turn down all these clubs. They're like, can you come speak? And I'm like, I can, but every time I do, like, this company's not getting yelled at enough, and then we don't get our shipment, right? So, yeah, that's part of it. And we brought Randy on. Randy's helping a ton, so we have less outages than we did. But as we grow, you know, that's a problem. Aquarium Co-op Easy Heater, we're looking into it. You know, I want to be honest. We're testing heaters. You know, but like someone was kind of complaining right now, like, why don't you have your own dedicated sponge filter? And the reality is, we've been working on it. We're 9 months into this because I don't want to just release something and then it just be like, it's just the same thing, guy. You put it in a different box, right? It's so easy to make compromises, and it's driving Randy nuts because I'm going, nope, we need this. Like, I literally was like, this plastic's not thick enough. He's like, what do you mean? All the ones we sell are this thick. And I go, I know, and that's not good enough. It's not good enough for the Aquarium Co-op version. I want this, you know? And he's like, well, and I want it so that we can do special things. He's like, but none of our ones that do that right now. And I go, I know. That's why we're having our own made, right? So, yeah. There's all these, like right now we're sold out of air pumps. Someone's saying buy Aquatop heaters. We're running into supply issues with Aquatop air pumps, right? Like, it's just, there's just problems. And eventually, if companies, like, this is what I've been thinking about a lot. As a middleman or a wholesaler, if you don't keep your products in stock, people don't buy from you. If I don't have it in stock, then you guys don't buy from me, right? Pretty easy concept. And if the people I buy from don't have it in stock, I don't buy from them. Pretty easy concept. But I keep having to remind them, like, you do realize you keep being out, I stop spending money with you. Like, not because I don't like you, not because I don't like you to take me out to dinner, but because it was physically impossible to spend money with you. And so, when we keep running into that, we get closer and closer to, like, do we have to start getting an air pump made? Like, I don't want to be the guy that has to make an air pump, but if I can't buy a good air pump, I'm going to have to. So, is any of this tariff related? I don't think it is. I don't think it is, because they already raised the prices and all that stuff. And so here's how I look at it. I personally look at it like this. If Aquarium Co-op, a company that is 1/100th, 1/500th, 1/1,000,000th of the size of these bigger companies, if I can bring a cargo container in from China, why can't they? Right? They have infinite more resources, infinite more money. They've been doing it a lot longer. Why can't they do it? Right? Like, that's, you know, what I do learn is a lot of these companies don't have forecasting software. Well, you know, our buyers kind of, hold on. Yeah, we need 782,000 of those air pumps. And then by the end of the year, turns out we needed 3.9 million of those. We were way off. Like, they don't use software to forecast it. And to me, I'm just like, why aren't we using technology? Like, why? So one of my big things is, why aren't your warehouses connected? Like, you ran out here 3 months ago, and you have 500,000 of them sitting over here. Use the network. Shift some of those on the next thing going over, the next semi going over, right? So that is maddening to everyone in the industry. And, you know, and the co-op effect is a real thing. It's a real thing. So, yeah. I don't know what to do about it other than sit down with these people and go, how do we fix it? What is it about your system that's broken? Because my system is easy. My system is, we know how many we're going to sell. I'm willing to buy them. And I'm trying to buy them. Like, brick wall here, you know? I mean, there are some things, like, it's a pricing issue sometimes. Like, there's products we don't carry that we would if we could get it at the right price. You know, there's filters on Amazon right now that it's cheaper for us to buy it from Amazon than it is to buy it from Flueball. Like, In what world does that make sense, right? Let's have that conversation. I brought that up. Like, how does that work? How does that work? So we'll see. We'll see if, part of the problem, one of the biggest problems we have is that they only see us as a retail store. They don't see us as an online business, which is weird. And they for sure don't get it that we're advertising for them. They don't realize that when I talk about a product, we sell a bunch, and a bunch sell on Amazon, a bunch sell from Ken's Fish and our competitors and all that kind of stuff. So, like, they only see us as we're a retail store. Yeah, okay, your retail store's out. We get it. We don't care. Like, they don't realize that if I drop your brand and I start promoting another brand, a year from now, you're going to be going, oh, that hurt the bottom line, right? And it's not like I'm going, if you don't give us the best deal, we're never going to sell your product. It's just like, just keep it in stock and make it so that it's not cheaper to buy online, right? So one of the things we don't sell is like pythons. Why don't you sell those online? They're cheaper on Amazon than they are buying directly from Python, right? Like, that's a problem, and I kind of feel like if you can't sell to me cheaper than you sell to Amazon and they're retailing it, how could I ever sell your product? Let's be honest here. So are we looking at other brands? Yes. We're going, who wants to sell us a good gravel vac cleaning kit that we can compete with online? Do we have to make our own? Maybe we do. I don't know, right? But all I know is that I can't sell it for twice the price of Amazon. You guys won't buy it, and it doesn't make any sense. So, are air pumps with pufferfish safe? Yeah, definitely. All mine pretty much run air pumps. So, yeah. Flue ball's tripping. To be fair, like, no matter how much flue ball's tripping, they do make great products. That's one of the best things, right? That is always going to be good in business. You make a good product that people like, that's always good. Now you just got to keep it in stock. And you do those two things, whew, now we're selling it. So, they're like 70% there. They just need like that little bit more, and they just be crushing the industry. So, yeah. But, you also got to remember the people high up on these companies, they're worried about the Canadian market, they're worried about the European market, they're worried about the US market. There's all these things, like, for all I know, there's 10 bigger fires in Germany right now they're trying to put out instead of Aquarium Co-op in the US market. I don't know. Like, I'm not there. I can't know. All I can do is plead my case. You kind of show up and you go, hey, here's the struggles I'm having. How do we fix these? And if they're willing to sit down and talk about it, hopefully, we'll get something figured out. I mean, Aquarium Co-op meme, where can I post it? We don't have an official meme depository yet. For now, tag me on Instagram, post on Instagram, hashtag Aquarium Coop, and then we'll figure out where it's going to go. So yes, 50-foot python at my local fish store is $80. I know, and that's because they're in the same position I am. They're going, this pricing's ridiculous, and they can't. And that's why when I talk about local fish stores, there are sometimes they can't even be competitive. That is an item that we cannot be competitive on until the company realizes they got to do something. And so it's not, I don't blame any company, because I know with Python, I know there's no money to be made on it. Like, that's on the kits. It's a broken item at the moment in terms of margins. There's zero margin at the price we pay for them. And they're like, well, if you buy $5,000 worth, we'll let you make 5%. It's like, 5% is like an error rate on credit card, frauds, and like things getting lost in the post office. So like, oh, if I'm really good and I spend a lot of money, you'll make it so I don't lose money when I sell your product? You're so nice. Thank you for that. A lot of these companies think that, like, well, you just have to sell this product, and if you don't carry it, then you're not going to get the sales. So then, we're not going to lower our price. And I refuse to barter along that premise, because that would be like me going, if you don't give us a better price than Amazon, then I'm not going to sell your product. The reality is, I just want the same price that Amazon gets, because I promise you this: Amazon, if it's selling it for $30, isn't paying $30 for it. And I can promise you they're not paying $32 for it and then selling it at $30. So that's what I know. Yeah. So Don't want to hate on everyone, but at the same time, I just want to flesh this out. Like, I just want it. We want all of our ordering to be automated. We want it to be like, oh, cool, you guys bought 20 of these. Great, we ordered 20, and then 20 came in. What a dream! What a dream! So, and then I can spend my time making videos on goldfish like someone was requesting. You know, I do want to do that kind of stuff. So, do you have any idea when I'll be selling fish online? I have no plans currently. I got approached by another vendor yesterday that wants me to tell you guys to buy all their stuff online. I'm not confident they can handle the traffic I could send them, so we're telling them basically like, you know, do it another 6 months, let us come take a look at your stuff, let us see your reputation, and then maybe we'll consider it. You know, it's people don't understand what it takes to have that many people emailing you and asking you questions about fish and all that. They think it's going to be easy, and it's not. So I do know that. Fluval website's down? Is that true? I gotta know. Was it fluval.com? I only go to their buying website, so. Ha! Fluval.com is down. Oh man. So that shows you how the technology's strong with the fluvals, right? Or we have way more impact than I thought. Like, oh, I mentioned them when I crashed their website. I don't believe that to be true. So, but dang, it probably has something to do more with the backbone that took down. Facebook is probably affecting Fluval too. Let's see. I will say I have a secret goal, and maybe you guys will get to help me someday. I want to make it so that we rank higher than Fluval for their own brand. I want to get my website to rank higher, just as it's like a further like C, but we're still a ways off from doing that. So multiple 3.0s on the same app at the same time. If you're asking if you can control multiple lights at the same time, no, but you can make it very easy to like, here's my list. You would just open up each one and then apply settings like bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah. So yeah, I do not advocate, and I'm fluvalaquatics.co. I don't think that's their main one though, is it? Let me see. Because I know they've got like .ca, they've got a bunch all around the world. Yeah, it's fluvalaquatics.com. Well, that's under construction. That's not even like a real thing. That says under construction. So I don't know what their full-time website is because it's never been down for me before. So I don't know. Yeah. Can I put Ladybird in with Murphy, or will Murphy beat her when it comes to food? Yeah, probably not going to work out. So John Palmer says, Fluval Aquatics website, Twitter said they were under construction 2 days ago. Here's my question. My website doesn't go down / like we're developing a new website. You don't just take your website down. You just release the new version. It's just a seamless like, whoop, look at that, new one's out. Like, to close down the website seems crazy to me. Like, okay, so like I know if my website was to do this under construction thing, the world would be coming to an end. What about all the people that have like a warranty claim? Right? Like, they're just to see this and like, oh, under construction, wonder how long that's been going for. Like, they should have an ETA. Like, there's one time there's one time we closed down the website, and that was for about 4 hours while we counted inventory. So, but you need to have an ETA on there. You can't just be like, under construction forever? I don't know. Check out these other social media outlets. Like, you need to have a like, we'll be back in 3 days. We'll be back in 48 hours, whatever it is. So, again, maybe this is why you take high school classes on web design, so that way you can be like, yeah, you never go down. Just don't do that. Like, you just, as a big company, you just don't go down. And so, yeah. I've heard rumors that Fluval's coming out with a new series. I don't know what's being changed. If I get any intel, you'll hear it first, you know. But I've heard they're working on something new, but, you know, is it just like, oh, it's got a new clip. So, have you ever been to Pruis Pets? Yes, it's a huge store. I've been there. I love that they do a lot of breeding there. I think that's super cool. And, yeah. all right. Oh, maybe they've been compromised for security purposes and they have it closed? I mean, maybe. But again, if you're a giant corporation, how do you not have someone managing that? Worst case scenario, you change hosts? I mean, I don't want to call anyone out because I'm sure there's some internet wizard that could take down my website like in no time. So I don't want to be like, I challenge you to a duel, because I fully believe you guys have the resources to destroy me. So I'm not asking for that, but I do feel like, I mean, I guess I need to do more research. Like, I'm gonna open up the Twitter right now, and it says we are launching our new website tonight. Stay tuned. See, now here's where I have a problem. That was posted on March 11th. We're launching our new website tonight. 2 days ago. Like, you probably shouldn't be in the dark for a couple extra days. Like, that's just not a good thing. You should be like, oh, we're having further technical difficulties. And if they had been hacked, let's say, you wouldn't say like, oh, we're just putting out a new website. You'd be like, oh man, we're being DDoS'd. Like, we need help. Help, what are we gonna do? Help. So yeah, I don't know. I'll meet with them in Fluwell and be like, what's up with that? And they'll be like, we don't like you. And I go, I know. Fluwell's tripping. So I'm gonna go eat dinner. 7:06. Tell Jimmy to let you in. Are you in my house? Or are you at my... I guess, Jimmy, let him in. It can't be locked. My studio's not locked. Maybe it's my actual house. Maybe Jimmy's at my house. Maybe he's at the store. Jimmy must be at the store. I bet you he's filming at the store and Bob wants in at the store. So let him in. But I'm signing out because I'm only getting myself more in trouble and it's getting weirder by the minute. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for setting the record of 1951, fools. 1951. Great year. Can't believe I lived through it. Barely lived through it, let me tell you. Whew. I don't look that old, but I am that old. So we'll see you, I'd say next Wednesday, but I can't guarantee that. So I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.